Hey guys, welcome back to Oracle Life, episode number 14. This was originally videotaped on Wednesday, September the 14th, and I think I got another episode in between this that is out of series, but only because I didn't get to editing this one. But regardless, it's here now for you, and in fully unedited. So just a bit of an update for you guys here. Today, actually, the edit date is Tuesday, September the 22nd, and this week is turning out to be completely gorgeous here in Toronto. Tomorrow it's supposed to hit, I think, a high of 22 or something like that. So Zennon and I got a roll in today, which will be episode 15, I think. But I don't know if I mentioned to you earlier that this could be the last week that you might see us rolling for a bit, because our kids are going back to school, at least his is, and that sort of poses a potential risk to everyone, actually. My son is actually not going to go. I sort of gave him a heads up warning, the potential causes, potential risks that it introduces to the family. So we ultimately let him decide what he wants to do, and he decided to wait it out for another 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. And no fault to Zennon and his child. I mean, everyone's got to do what they got to do, right? So apologies for the out of focus. I'm really hoping the microphone doesn't pick up these. I'm just chewing on some jelly beans, so sorry about that if it sounds a little too loud. So I'm trying to get a deep half guard on Zennon here. Really didn't get anywhere with it. I mean, it wasn't really his deep half. There was a C guard. Not sure what I was trying to do. Basically not letting him pass my guard. You know, it's interesting, right? As a 6 foot 210 guy myself, sometimes I don't really see myself as a larger person than, say, Zennon, who's I think I'm walking at 140. I think 5'5". You know, it's a weird feeling, but you're in your own body and you don't really associate size differences too much in your head. At least I don't. But clearly when I see the videos, I can see the discrepancy in sizes and how much of a difference it makes in combat. Not for everyone, right? I mean, ultimately skill and technique are a big part of it, and sometimes you can pull off incredible strength from a tinier form factor. Here I'm trying to get the omoplata on Zennon, but it's not quite finishing off. He's trying to step over my omoplata there. Sorry, nobody's actually just reversed into it. Now he's trying to roll out of it, but I've sort of got it. He did a real good job of spinning out of it, though. By the way, guys, you're looking at my custom-made key, Beta Hub key V3DA. If you like them, head over to oraclejujitsu.com/shop, and you should be able to pick one up. This video is entirely an hour and a half? It says hour and a half, so I mean it is unedited, so it's got a bunch of breaks and whatnot in there. So, but as I promised you, my iPhone was not giving me problems today, so it captured the entire thing. Sadly, it's out of focus, but regardless, it's a full hour and a half length. I only have 4 more jelly beans. Sorry. Then I promised you I'm done. You can see there I got the Z guard, which for those of you who don't know, it's a very effective guard to prevent a guard pass. I'm trying a bit of a fancy berimbolo. That didn't quite work out. What Zennon is trying to do is he's trying to control my ankles so that I don't get the hooks in. Zennon here is trying to get I don't know what the technical term for it is, but basically the knee and guard break, where he basically wedges his knee into my crotch, basically, and it's not the most pleasant feeling, but yeah, it works really effectively to pry open a guard. Here I'm trying to get, what do they call it, the Death Orchard from 10th Planet, where you sort of kind of get a double arm triangle, but instead I reverse it and I get the double arms, but I don't have the figure 4 lock. Instead I get the mount. Zennon almost got his escape, which he's been really good at, but I didn't let him push me off or shuck me off the entire amount. As you saw, I quickly reversed it and then got side control again. Usually with the side control guys who are not familiar with jiu-jitsu, the guy on the bottom, he's trying to get his near side knee, which in this case it's Zennon's left knee. He wants to get that in and shimmied basically into my gut area to clear my knee line so that he can ultimately transition to resetting his guard. So that's what you sort of see in a typical scenario of side control, the battle for the inside knee control versus advancement of my position. And here you can see he's got back out of it, but I had knee on belly, which I think is like 3 points. But he did, so there you see I've got my knee on belly, and what Zennon is going to try to keep doing is try to get his guard back. So I've got a collar choke on him right now. And I'm sort of trying to get a weird choke on it, which I think is called the paper cutter. Basically, what I did there was is a lapel guard, a sort of entry point for Keenan Cornelius's worm guard. I don't do it to the full extent that Keenan does it, meaning the entire worm guard. I'm not even sure if I know how to do it, but I'm just really playing around with the gi as a control measure. Which Zennon is having some difficulty in getting past my lapel guard. Sorry about that. I'm just moving around my microphone here, trying to get a comfortable position. If you could see me right now, you'd probably have a good laugh. My quote-unquote studio here is basically me lying down on my side on my sofa with my laptop playing the video, and I've got the tripod with my iPod and microphone mounted on my ribs, basically. It is comfortable, but it's because I'm a little bit tired today. Zennon and I had a great roll today, which is going to be episode 14. There's some cool stuff that happens in there. I won't give away any of the details, but be sure to check it out. It's pretty fun. I enjoyed myself. So again, for those that don't really know jiu-jitsu, a lot of times you're probably going to be asking yourself, what exactly are these guys doing? Why are they so slow? Why does everything seem so measured? Where's the action? But really, it's a very finely detailed, very technical game. A lot of the stuff that you're not seeing is happening. I mean, that's part of my job here, and I'm maybe being a little bit lazy, but it's also very difficult to sort of see some of this stuff. A lot of the stuff, it's minuscule, hand fighting, grip fighting, lapel fighting, positioning. You know, sometimes you're just going to scooch by an inch or two to make a big difference. And those are just really subtle things that are sometimes hard to capture on video, and even sometimes harder to see it with your own eye, even though you were the one that was the subject and that had done it earlier. But yeah, that's what's going on. There's a lot of subtle nuances to jiu-jitsu that is just sort of hard to explain unless you've sort of done it. But I'll try my best. So here you see, I've got my left foot on Zennon's left thigh. Basically, I'm trying to use that as a control technique. Not sure what happened. I think we went off the mat there. But there's a lot happening there when you're on someone's back. There's a lot of control happening, positioning, fighting for submission. There's a lot of good submissions off of the back, and it's not a fun place to be to have your back taken like that. So you're constantly trying to protect yourself, from the guy on your back's legs, trying to do, either two hooks in, or which is basically your 2 feet go across the guy's groin area and into his back of his knees, basically, to lock in the hooks, if you can picture that. But a worse scenario is actually getting a body lock, which is like a figure 4 triangle across the person's body. It's very tough to deal with. So you're fighting off the bottom attack, and you're also simultaneously fighting off a top attack. So even though I might be doing that on the bottom, at simultaneously on the top, I'm looking to secure a good grip, breaking and fighting off his grips, advancing my position to get possibly a collar, so I can go for a collar choke. There's many different types of chokes, transitions to, arm bar. So lots going on. Sorry, I actually dozed off there for a second. I missed some of the action. Zennon here typically tries to rush past and get past my guard. I think, finds that that's his best option. He's tried a leg drag there, lazy leg drag, and then to back take, which didn't happen. He's got my back here. He doesn't have a solid seatbelt grip, which is one arm goes under my left arm and his right arm goes over the top of my right shoulder, and then you sort of clasp your grips together, and that's called the seatbelt. Here he's got the sort of classic side control where he's got my right armpit under control. So here Zennon has north-south, and he's trying to staple my left forearm bicep to the mat. one of the basic tenets of jiu-jitsu is that not everyone is going to be a superstar on the offense, just able to submit everyone. So it falls upon this tenet that jiu-jitsu is also about being able to survive in a very tough situation. That's a big part of it. If the other individual can't submit you, then you've done effectively a great job. It's what Helio Gracie, founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, used to say, that I might not win, but also you're not going to submit me, and that is in itself a win. So when you're seeing a lot of jiu-jitsu, what appears to be nothing going on, but when in fact one individual is actually potentially saving himself from getting submitted, which is a great feat in itself. So you could just see there Zennon just resisted a Kimura from myself. I mean, I had an arm lock on him, and yet I wasn't able to tap him out. So, that's to his credit, great technique and strength that he's able to resist such a basic, violent attack on his arms. Yeah, I'm just chilling out back here on Zennon's back with the figure 4 body lock on him. There's no real rush for me. He's not going anywhere. It's uncomfortable for him. My arms are quite tired. So I'm just taking a bit of a breather. Here I'm just taking my time to try to get my collar choke grips. And it's really a battle of inches and timing. Once an individual so right there, Zennon double teamed his right collar and broke off my cross collar grip across his neck. So I was literally a moment away from tapping him out, but he quickly broke that grip. So unfortunately, you couldn't see that. But these are the small nuances that happen in a jiu-jitsu match. Here I'm really just trying everything. Here I'm obviously using my own gi, and I really didn't even get, the reason why we're smiling is because I didn't really even get a chance to choke him out with my own gi, but he just gave up because he knew that it was pretty close at hand. Together with the body lock, I think that's what he's saying right now, is together with the body lock, it was just too uncomfortable, so he didn't want to really have to go through that. But yeah, I was happy with this slight alternate technique that I don't see a lot of people use. That was actually my first time I used it myself. I'm sure guys have used it. It only makes sense. But jiu-jitsu is about being adaptive and learning to assess the individual situation that you find yourself in not just in controlled mat environment, but in real life combat. If you ever should find yourself in, you're not going to have the most ideal situation. So you're always going to have to work with what you're given. quick water break. If you're, again, new to Jiu-Jitsu and you're wondering how is it that two grown men can continue to fight repetitively over and over in what appears to be very repetitive, it's a good question, and the reason why Jiu-Jitsu people who practice the art of Jiu-Jitsu can continue to do it is because, first and foremost, there's quite honestly, if you were to calculate the permutations of combinations between the hundreds and hundreds of moves that are available in Jiu-Jitsu, the permutation and combinations are probably more than the grains of sand on that beach. That's just the nature of exponential permutations. So there's that side to it. So there's a lot of variety. There is the sheer act of sharpening one's blade, as it were, that you're continuously working on technique, and with each repetitive motion of that particular technique, you're constantly adjusting and refining your technique by millimeters. It may not be obvious from a layman's point of view, from a viewer outside, but when you're sitting on the mat and actually doing those moves and practicing, then and assuming you're paying attention, you're going to start noticing these subtle nuances of millimeters of where your hand, your body should be placed, where your center of gravity is at all times. These really subtle nuances are constantly being adjusted and modified for. A long time ago in a previous life, I did a little bit of Wing Chun, and after 6 months of training, I asked, hey, when do we sort of get to do some real sparring or whatnot? And I was told that I would be throwing these punches like tens of thousands of times over and over again, and that was just one punch. And as I said, Jiu-Jitsu has like literally hundreds of techniques. Here I'm trying to get some sort of a modified the lapel choke Ezekiel, which I'm pretty sure I've never seen anyone do. And so in Wing Chun, you're literally throwing the same punch over tens of thousands of times, and for the exact same reason that you're trying to develop sensitivity to both your hands and your punch. That's I mean I'm really simplifying Wing Chun, but that's sort of like where Wing Chun is coming from, and their whole thing is on sensitivity of what they call like drunken hands or sticky hands. Sorry, it's not drunken hands, sticky hands. They develop such sensitivity that in a hand-to-hand combat, they're going to probably beat you because they've done hand-to-hand combat so many hours and hours and days and weeks and years of the same movements that it refines it to a beautiful art. So Jiu-Jitsu not being any different, but definitely with a whole slew of different techniques. we're able to hone those skills. I was just mentioning to Zennon that there's some techniques I literally have only pulled off like 2 or 3 times in my 12-year career, and that just goes to show you that there are so many moves, and sometimes you might not do a move for literally years because it just may not be your thing. You might have other go-to moves that you're more likely to want to use, your body type, your technique, your style, whatever the case may be. So, by the time you do, put in 10,000 hours and 10 years to get your black belt, you may in fact not be, a master of any one particular, you may not be a master of all the moves. You will likely be a really good master of a certain few set of moves, but you're not going to be a master of all the moves. That, I think that's contrary to what a lot of people believe that a black belt is, that you're some sort of a god who has all the mastered moves in his belt. But the reality of it is not the case. Black belt really is considered the stepping stone of you realizing what jiu-jitsu and the depth and power that it holds. You're only at the stepping stone when you get your black belt. Here, really, I'm just playing around and really trying to, play around with my own lapel and seeing what I can do with it. Trying to have some fun. Trying to be creative. I don't think all of it works. All the attempts succeed, but one or two of them do come through for me, and that's always very rewarding. We are approximately at the 43-minute mark, and we have about another hour to go. So I think I gave you a different number earlier on, but yeah, there's definitely, this one is a long one, fully shot, full length, uncut. Yeah, that was just a reset. To our benefit, it's a better angle. one of the things that I was working on from here was getting my hooks in from seatbelt. Just due to the nature of how close. Oh, there I actually didn't have an issue, but I was hoping I was another part of the video where I couldn't get that first hook in easily, and I played around with different techniques and was happy that I found some alternate, but that wasn't it. There's that lapel again. What I really liked about it was that it didn't rely on your opponent's lapel. Sometimes when you're pulling on your opponent's lapel, it's coming from, his body further down. He has a bit more control. I think I got the tap there. Whereas when you use your own lapel, you're free to sort of make it as loose as you want to make it without any intervention. Plus it has the element of surprise, which you saw there. I'll get the reverse on Zennon there. I think his base was just a little bit high on that one. There, Zennon does a great job of hip escaping. I just pulled Zennon back into my guard to center ourselves to the mat. And straight to the worm guard. I was just trying to fix my bandage on my foot. All this lapel guard was really taking a toll on my grips. The past week and a bit, my grips have just been dying because I think I've been pulling and squeezing the lapel so much. So I don't do anything fancy here. By no means am I pulling off a squid guard or whatnot. Like I said before, I'm really just playing around with the lapel and trying to get a feel for it. Here you can see I've got some peculiar form of I've got my lapel around my own knee. I'm not sure exactly how that helps me, but what it does for a minimum is that it makes him tied to me a lot. And it prevents him from rolling in one direction at least. So if he wants to roll away from me, which is the direction he does want to go, it prevents that. But it also prevents me from sort of advancing my position. So I think at some point here I actually decide to let it go. There's some good old classic fundamental moves in jiu-jitsu. Pant leg grab, and you sort of just pull them into the seatbelt. Some good old classic fundamental jiu-jitsu moves. Never can go wrong with them. Here I'm just tightening up the body lock a little bit. And there's that lapel again. Jiu-jitsu, you definitely over time develop a sensitivity to know sort of instinctually what's happening, and I think Zennon can tell that I'm up to no good. Oh, there you go. I don't think I got it there this time. I think this one Zennon did a good job of fighting out of it. But what I found was interesting is that with my lapel choke attack, it gave me one more viable option that he had to contend with. So he's got to contend with being choked with his own lapel. He's got to contend with my legs. He's got to contend with my arms, just my arms, going for like an RNC. So using my lapel just ups the ante in terms of the amount. Here's where I get kind of crazy. I was like, oh, maybe I should use 2 lapels. Why not? Then I just gave up on the first one. But I think the mechanics of using your own lapel, I mean, of course I'd have to test this on more than one opponent, but in a post-COVID world, I plan to. But right now, it definitely feels good to use my own lapel. It has this really great advantage to of mobility for some reason. Well, I shouldn't say for some reason. I know why. It's just coming from my front of my body straight to the destination, from my source straight to his destination, which is his neck, versus when it comes from him, it's sort of coming from his hips, sometimes from around his underarm, and then around his neck. So it's not giving you potentially the type of choke that you necessarily want from, at least from the back. If you're doing a top game, definitely that sort of choke is going to be good. But if you're on the back, using your own lapel seems to be a very good, viable alternate. There's my big gut that my family loves to remind me of. Ever since jiu-jitsu stopped, the gut has come back. Here I was just showing a view. There's a lady down there sunbathing. People just enjoying the beach, so I wanted to show you what our view looks like. This lady there was really having a great old time, just really enjoying the beach, and I highly recommend it. It's just we have it. I was just saying this in how we have, I don't know what, 5 million people in Toronto or something like that. And some days on the beach, there's literally no one there. And sure, it's on a weekday sometimes, but nonetheless, 5 million people and 0 people on the beach. It's just mind-blowing. We just passed the halfway mark. So there you go. So I did the crab ride there, and if I did a reverse on that one, you'd see that I got the calf slicer on that one. But what I was going to say was traditionally when Zennon gets past the 90-degree point of my body, and he's pretty effectively past my guard, but in that case there, I was able to pummel my far side leg around to get the calf slicer. Here I got the omoplata. I'm just making sure he doesn't do a roll. As much as he's fighting out of it, it's my job to tuck my legs in and sit forward, which he is preventing me from doing. Yep, and I lose it. There I have a very good Z guard on him, and then I'm doing an angle pick with my left foot, which didn't succeed. And Zennon has managed to go to a north-south position, which is predominantly a very good position for him. I think it isolates my strengths. It separates him from my legs. There's not much I can do with my arms, and he can attack my arms. So traditionally, yeah, that's what Zen goes for, is a north-south. And it works for him for the most part. I think Zennon has a Kimura on me, and he's trying to break free my arm. I'm really happy that Zennon really worked on his strength in the past, in the quarantine phase of COVID, and I've seen a really big improvement in his, at least in his physical stamina and his physical strength than what I remember when we were on the mats. And that's obviously very good considering I'm a much bigger guy than him, so it evens the playing field a little bit further. A lot of kayakers in the waters around here. On a calm day, it's just a perfect spot to launch your kayak because the center island is a couple hundred feet away. Pretty manageable to get across without much effort. But yeah, again, on a calm day, you might want to try that. But on a non-calm day, it might be a bit tricky. A lot of what do you call it? Wind sailors out there as well. So you see there again. So I got the. I had as Zeman tried to pass my guard, I got the foot in so that I had the De La Hiva, and then there I'm sneaking my left foot in right there. So that I can do the crab ride to take it back straight to a collar choke. So that's sort of my defense to his guard pass. See, with the cross-collar choke there, Zennon rolled into the choke and made it more tighter for himself. But unfortunately not tight enough for him to tap out. So you see, he tried to roll in the other direction and see if that would untie him, but I guess it didn't work for him. And here I'm really applying the pressure now with knee on chest, cross-collar choke with the lapel choke. I don't know if I get it. I don't. I switch sides, knee on belly, trying to go for the cross-collar choke here. I don't get the grip. Every time you reach over for the cross collar, it's very evident that you're trying to go for the cross collar. So, for me at least, it's not a high percentage move. Now, with the cross collar choke, using the lapel or the collars, setup is really key to this. Without the right setup, you're just never going to get the cross collar choke. It's a very minute, detail sensitive choke, especially at the higher belts. For white belts, a lot of guys will tap out just because they don't know any better to grind it out and not tap out. But at the higher belts, guys know they can just basically ride it out if it's not 100% locked on. So as you can see with Zennon here, he's not tapping out to any of this. So my left hand, I switched it to my right hand, but my left hand originally really is just not deep enough to be able to warrant a good choke. Here I'm really just trying to wrap it around his neck and do sort of one entire loop. If I get it, it sort of guarantees my choke because it'll be completely 360. But just because it's so obvious an attempt, Zennon is going to fight out of it.
The reason why I keep my eyes closed actually is because, I mean, there's no reason for it to remain open. You can pretty much do a lot of it by muscle memory, and I don't want to get poked in the eye. I had that several times done to me, and it's not fun. I do have a detached retina. Then I went for an armbar, but I think it was a little bit top heavy, resulting in me doing a reverse, and he lost it. I did mention to him today that he should consider slowing down his armbar a little bit, making sure his positioning is just oh so right, advancing his position inch by inch is the jiu-jitsu way. Position before submission, as they say. I don't know what I'm talking about there, but very animated expressions. I mean, I do have to say, I think Zennon is giving up. Like grips, he definitely fights and counters against the grips. He does a great job of that. But in terms of his lapel, I think he's just feeling it out. He doesn't. What I'm trying to say is he doesn't oppose me grabbing his lapels just yet, because I think he's feeling it out in terms of, well, what does this mean? Let's see what he's going to do with it. Will it pose a problem? A lot of guys rush to oppose anything you do, but Zennon is not doing that. Again, he's got the north-south position, which is really good for him with the Kimura. Finishing it right from there is possible, what he just tried to do. I think statistically you're going to win because it's a 2-on-1, but leverage and position is very key. I think he was sitting a little bit far back. He needs to sort of sit basically on top of my head and straddling both of his knees, legs on the front of my chest, on the back of my body, on my back. And then there, from that position, he's really isolated my resistance to the Kimura. But I think he's a bit high. reason why you see a lot of guys put their feet up like that when they're on the ground is it looks like they're trying to take it easy, but it is definitely more comfortable, but it's not the reason why they do that. The reason why they mostly do that is actually because it prevents the top guy from, it makes it harder for the top guy to get that leg across for a full mount. There's the classic straight arm. A reversal. You see there, I'm trying to get a deep grip with my left hand. Ideally, your thumb should reach to the 12 o'clock position, which is the back of his neck. No further, no shorter. And then your other hand would be mirrored on the opposite side. And then when you got that positioning, you can execute your cross-collar choke. But the modified version is with your second hand, you actually just grip the top of the gi, and it works for some people, but I'm not having any luck. So Zennon rolls away from the choke to relieve the pressure, which is the right thing to do. Here I'm thinking about transferring it to my right hand for a complete 360, but I don't think I've ever managed to do that. I actually don't know what happened right there. Oh, yeah. I think I did manage to pass it to my other hand and I got the joke. So lots of collar jokes today. So you can see Zennon tried to do a step pass and then to a knee slice. I didn't have any of it, so what I do is pummel my opposite leg back into the game. And it pretty much neutralizes his positioning. Here I did a really rudimentary butterfly sweep. Very rudimentary. I don't think it was technically at all a butterfly sweep, but nonetheless, the overall mechanics of it the overall effect of it was transpired. Not sure what happened there, but Sorry, I dozed off and missed that one. I think Zennon got a sweep out of there. Sweep somewhere there. There's a good old classic spider guard sweep. This is not looking good for Zennon, as I got a arm and head in the triangle. There is a very unlikely chance that he's going to get out of this. There's a lot of stuff you can do. As you can see, I literally can roll the individual once they are in the triangle, and I got the arm bar from there. So, once you've got the arm in triangle, you can manipulate the other individual's body at will in terms of, do you want to go from on your back, the traditional position, I would say, to sort of full mount, and all you got to do is roll, and the other individual has no say in it. As the saying goes, you control a man's spine and head, the rest of the body will follow, and this holds true. And oftentimes you want to do that. Sometimes guys can stack you and get out of an arm triangle from when you're doing it from the bottom, because they have the advantage of being on the top. Not all the time, obviously, but if you do the roll and you actually get them pinned, it has the additional element of your gravity and body weight crushing down on them. And that alone is enough for them to usually give up their arm for a arm bar. Here's about 15 more minutes. Yeah, I think we're done here, guys. So, thanks for joining me in another episode of Oracle Life, rolling on the beautiful beaches of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share, and the alert button so that you are reminded when new content is coming up, which is approximately once a week. Sometimes twice a week. It's actually twice a week. Well, it's twice a week I'm getting content, but it may not be posted twice a week. Be sure to check out my online merch at oraclejitsu.com/shop. Join the OracleTribe at oraclejitsu.com/OracleTribe. Read the verbatim on OracleLife and then click through. And if you want to join our Jiu-Jitsu group here, again, you're more than welcome to. I have 4 students that are thinking about it. Right now it's kind of difficult, kind of like herding cats. People are always on the move, going here and there, and all sorts of different personal circumstances. So getting people together for this as dedicated partners is definitely a bit of a challenge. But hopefully with phase 2, I mean, the numbers are not looking good just as of today. I think we had 500 new cases in Toronto, up from 270 last week per day. So it seems like the curve is on the upswing and not in a good way, which is not going to fare well for close proximity type of activities. The Premier Ford has already given out the new rules, which is effectively putting us back into a sort of phase 2 lockdown situation where I think we are no longer allowed more than groups of 10 indoors and 24 outdoors. Masks are mandatory. I don't know exactly how that plays out for Jiu-Jitsu. I know in phase 3 we had special circumstances outside of everyone else, which was basically no live sparring, dedicated partners. So I don't know if that changes at all. Just the number of people allowed in that space is probably going to be reduced. This has been episode number 14. I don't know if you guys caught episode number 13. I hope you did. It was one of our first premiere sort of episodes that was capturing the other half of OracleLife, which is the operational side of things, the back-end software development side of things. I sort of had my first beta demo with two very interesting ladies of high competence and senior level skill sets at the table. So that was a very great experience for me because I was able to get some really good feedback from them. I was able to showcase and demo my product, my MVP, minimum viable product, and overall I think they were satisfied and they liked what they saw, so there wasn't that much negative feedback, if any. Obviously I had a lot of suggestions in terms of feature requests, but overall it went well. But if you have the time, and if you haven't already seen it, check it out. Episode 13, the online YouTube video is about 1/3, which is about 20 minutes in length. And if you want to catch the whole entirety of it, I ask that you join the OracleTribe group for a nominal monthly subscription. You get access to additional content. In that case, the episode 13 is in full, about over 1 hour in length. The link of it is provided in your personalized dashboard that you also receive as part of your OracleTribe membership. Guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Thank you for joining us, and feel free to continue watching the end of this video, which is not much going to happen, but I'll let it run out, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.